memory loss, and I can't remember things, can't complete statements when I'm giving presentations. I just have this gap. I think that was really scary, actually, that gap. And of course, you start also worrying that you hope it's not something more serious, right?
Yeah.
Um, so you hope it's not something to do with your brain, or something degenerative or anything like that. So one of my friends was a little bit further along in her journey,
Yeah.
and she um, done a lot more research and said, "Oh, I found out. Look, this is perimenopause that we're in. This is what I've done. I've taken HRT, I've taken XYZ, and I'm feeling a lot much better. I'm gradually getting there. My weight is I'm in control of my weight
Mm.
again. Yeah, my energy levels are back, which is which was fantastic to hear. So very happily I said okay, booked another appointment to my GP. Got to my GP and say, yes, I know what it is, I know what it is. And she was like, well, you can't be telling me what to prescribe for you and things like this. So I said, no, I've really done a lot of research, and it's an
That's
area.
interesting. Hello, my darlings. How are you? Welcome to Menopause Was Black, Season 7. Menopause Was Black is the podcast in the UK, based in the UK, that is committed to sharing these stories, the menopausal stories of Black people in any stage of menopause. I am your host. My name is Karen Arthur. I am a broadcaster, an author, an artist, a grandma, and a lot of stuff in between. Who knows what I'll be doing next year? And I'm delighted to bring this episode to you. We're on episode 9. I had to think about that. I'm feeling very chill at the moment. I have just returned from my first flotation tank session. Has anybody ever had a flotation session? I'll try and explain it after the episode finishes on the other side. But right now, I'm going to give you some time to hunker down and get ready to listen to my next guest for episode 9. Enjoy this, and I will see you on the other side. Bye. Hello, and welcome to season 7 of Menopause Was Black, the podcast that is committed to sharing the menopausal stories of Black people in any stage of menopause, based primarily in the UK. My guest today is Apinke Efiong, and she is the founder of Ekó Botanicals, the holistic, multitasking, and sustainable skincare and wellness range rooted in traditional African and British botanical wisdom. Apinke launched Ekó Botanicals in 2022 to fill a gap in the market for high-performing wellness and skincare solutions for midlife women from her own personal journey of turning 40 and grappling with the new set of skin and healthcare concerns. In 2024, Apinke was voted in the top 25 of Who's Who in Natural Beauty by Natural Beauty News, which recognises the organic beauty sector's leading personalities and those driving change and growth in the industry. Welcome, Apinke.
Thank you, Karen. It's lovely to be here.
So,
Finally,
Apinke, tell
yeah.
us about yourself. Who are you outside of your title? This is my normal first question. What do you love?
Okay, who am I outside of my titles? Thank you anyway for that great and glowing introduction. Outside of my titles, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, a friend. Um, I love my passions. My background was in finance, and I love everything botanical. My great grandfather was a botanist, and I've just inherited his love for botany. So from a very early age, you would find me playing in the garden with flowers and stuff. and I'm still into botany, and that's what led me to create this range, and leave finance for a bit. Yeah, and to look for solutions, natural, less harmful, less synthetic solutions, to promote health and well-being.
That's lovely. And Apinke, when you've got some time off, okay, what kinds of things will we find you doing? What lights you up? I'm trying to get inside Apinke, not yes the passionate person, yes the person who created a
What
brand.
lights me up? I love to. I love walking.
Hmm.
Uh, I love getting more and more into yoga.
Mm.
Uh, I love traveling. I wish I could afford to travel more. Uh, Go new places. My time is freeing up now. Now that my kids are much older.
Yeah.
Yes, those are the things that light me up. I love cooking. All sorts of cultural foods.
Hmm.
And I love reading as well. I'm a member of a book club, a ladies' book club, and I joined probably 2 years ago, or maybe 1 year ago. I can't even remember now. But it's been a very, very beautiful journey so far. So I've met some fantastic ladies. I used to read a lot before children.
Mm.
Then I just, and career, you just get so busy.
Mm.
But one of the things that really nourishes my soul. Yeah, I love
Lovely.
skincare.
I love that. So you talked about you loved cooking and cooking cultural foods. What is your heritage? Where are your parents from?
My parents are Nigerian,
Hmm.
both of them. So I grew up in Nigeria, and our food is really spicy, colorful. You
Hmm.
know, there's just so much. Nigeria is just a cultural melting point. I was chatting with two friends of mine who are much older yesterday, and I was telling them that I've only been to like two or three cities in Nigeria, and they're about 36. And each of them, the diets, the food, the culture is so varied.
Mm.
It's such a rich heritage. Yeah, I wish I could cook more, and I wish I knew more. I think a lot of things are getting lost, unfortunately. Our traditional diet, which is very nourishing, very organic,
Mm.
um, very more vegetarian actually. And I think that's having an impact on us in menopause as well. As we go into menopause,
Mm.
uh, one of the key things is our nutrition, our diet
Yeah.
over the um, as Black people as well.
Mm. So where are you based now?
Now I'm based in just outside London, Hertfordshire, in Happenden.
Okay. Okay. And how old are you?
I am 48.
So who taught you about menopause, Apinke? Big question.
Nobody, I stumbled across when I was just not feeling myself. Um, Probably how many years ago now when I started, I believe the symptoms for perimenopause started
Hmm.
maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I just started experiencing some out of body things.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
And I just, first port of call was, I think, tiredness.
Yeah.
Like I said, really tired. And at that point in time, I was running a lot.
Okay.
So I thought maybe I was overdoing it. So, but even when I stopped, I just realized I didn't have energy to do most of my normal, things I'd be able to do, and
Yeah.
just go. I was just constantly feeling tired,
Mm.
groggy. Um, yeah. So those were, I think for me, those were, I had more like the emotional, mental weight gain. I put on a lot of weight,
Yeah.
uh, on like 10 kg in like 3 or 4 months, which, all my clothes were just not fitting, especially around my middle. So that was another strange thing.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, so those were some of the symptoms. My skin was changing, I think for my early 40s,
Yeah.
so maybe earlier. My skin just became very dry, and I've always had oily skin, right? I think most black people have oily skin, um, or combination or something like that. But my skin just became very, very dry, and I was like, "What's going on here? I've not really changed anything, So that was another thing. And then just having a lot of hyperpigmentation, dark spots on my skin, some hormonal breakouts as well.
Mm.
Uh, Strange because I hadn't had that since when I was a teenager. I had lots of pimples and but acne, but that was 20, 30 years ago.
That's
Um,
interesting, isn't it? Is that you, when we're at school, certainly, did you go to school in Nigeria or did you go to school in England?
up till secondary school, then I came to England.
Okay, so when my education around pimples and spots, and they didn't even call them hormonal breakouts; they just called them, called it puberty. And so you thought, I think the age range was something like 12 or 13 to 24. So I was convinced that when I got to 24, then I wouldn't have any more spots. And then I get to perimenopause and I start getting spots again. I'm like, wait, no one told us about this, and it's such a simple thing, but also it's something can make you feel quite
Yeah,
self-conscious. How you talked about some quite life-changing things. You started to put on weight, you put on a lot of weight in a space of a small amount of time, relatively. You were feeling tired and you were someone who had been used to doing running. You weren't feeling quite yourself. How did you feel? Like how did that make you feel? Were you working at the time? What
I
were you?
was working. It made me feel like, so definitely I was very worried.
Mm,
And so I went to see my GP. I wasn't sure what was happening. So I first of all thought, oh gosh, I can't be pregnant, because this is weight gain, this is tiredness,
yeah,
Um, I was just like, okay, what's going on? So I booked an appointment, went to see my GP. My GP said, then I was having a lot of memory loss and just feeling down and low. And
yeah,
so when I told my GP about all these symptoms, bless her, she said, oh, maybe I was stressed. She asked me about finances, my
yeah.
family situation, exercise, what I ate. And I said, okay, not advertly, it's just the normal, day-to-day stress we all deal with, juggling.
Yeah.
Nothing changed fundamentally, but I just don't feel myself. Lots of aches, so I think with the aches, it was more than aches from just walking out, right? It
Mm,
was like I felt I had been run over by a car and I
yeah.
hadn't done, so I couldn't understand what was wrong. So we did some tests. My GP asked that I did some tests, and they were all came out clear. And then she said, okay, if it continues, then she could put me on some antidepressants, to help with my mood, and to help with just,
And were you comfortable with that? Were you comfortable with the
no,
the advice and the things that she put you on?
well, because I mean, I've never been on antidepressants before, so I wasn't sure
Mm,
what going to do. But I was also worried that because I knew I had to, get a grip of the situation.
mm,
Uh, but I said, okay, I will go back and think about it. I didn't take them immediately.
mhm.
And so I went on, I started doing lots of research because at that point in time, I still didn't know I was in perimenopause. I didn't
Right.
know, what was going on. We're still trying to diagnose, okay, so what exactly is it? What can I do? Of course, I upped my vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D, everything that I could. But nothing was really helping.
Mm,
And yeah, so that was when I started doing my own personal research.
yeah,
And then a friend, I shared it, I spoke to two or three friends who were
yeah.
about the same age, and they all said to me they were experiencing similar symptoms, which was really, interesting. I remember really laughing out loud because one of my friends said, oh my God, I'm, for the first time having siestas in the afternoon, and it's just not funny because sort of lie at work and say, oh, but luckily I'm working from home.
Mm,
I'm having naps and all that. If not, I can't go through the day. I
mm.
just feel exhausted and tired. and then memory loss, and I can't remember things, can't complete statements when I'm giving presentations. I just have this gap. I think that was really scary, actually, that gap.
Yeah.
When you just gosh, just thinking about it now, I was
Yeah.
really like, you're saying you're having a discussion just like now, and you
Yeah.
just can't, so yeah. And of course, you start also worrying that you hope it's not something more serious, right?
Yeah.
Um, so you hope it's not something to do with your brain, or, something degenerative or anything like that. So one of my friends was a little bit further along in her journey,
Yeah.
and she um, done a lot more research and said, "Oh, I found out. Look, this is perimenopause that we're in. This is what I've done. I've taken HRT, I've taken XYZ, and I'm feeling a lot much better. I'm gradually getting there. My weight is I'm in control of my weight
Mm.
again. Yeah, my energy levels are back, which was fantastic to hear. So very happily, I said, okay, booked another appointment to my GP, got to my GP and say, yes, I know what it is. I know what it is. And she was like, well, you can't be telling me, what to prescribe for you and things like this. So I said, no, I've really done a lot of research, and it's
Oh,
an
that's
area.
interesting. So you
Yeah.
went. Oh, okay. I have questions. So, first of all, what was the time gap between the time you had the first appointment and the doctor gave you antidepressants, and the second appointment when you went back and went, I know what's wrong with me?
Maybe about 2 months or 3 months,
Okay.
because I was very proactive about it.
Yeah. So
Uh,
when you went the second time, the
yes.
doctor's basically saying to you, you can't tell me what to prescribe for you, even though you've done your research and you know you. I find that fascinating. So what did you say?
Yeah, so I just, so I went in there fully armed, ready for war. I was like, I'm not going out until I get my
I
I
love
guess
that.
it would really be public, but I was like, look, it's my health, it's my body,
Mm.
I'm wellness, health and wellness space. I know, what, I've done my research, and I
Yeah.
told her all my symptoms. I said, look, I'm sure you see so many women of this age with these symptoms. The only other thing was I was my Mirena call had expired.
Okay.
um so she wasn't we were there was also, like, we were not sure what exactly was going on with that. So we were not sure if that was what was causing the changes,
Hmm.
blah. So anyway, I got that refitted, and a new one, put in, which didn't really make any difference, but when I started taking the estrogen part of the HR, I was also prescribed progesterone.
That's right.
Um,
Protect your
yeah,
cervix. Yeah.
and so yeah, so just going back.
Okay.
I getting my GP that day to write me a prescription, and she was like, okay, okay, you know what you want. I'm going to
Good.
go ahead. You seem very knowledgeable, and I'm confident that I can prescribe you this. You've obviously done your research, and I'm happy. I'm happy if you want to give it a try and a go. And I said yes, and so that was how my journey began. And I think probably within 2 to 3 weeks there was a difference.
Wow.
Um, Energy. It took some months before, I think I would say, memory, and some of the other things became better,
Yeah.
noticed better. And then also had some other things that I experienced, which I had to go back to my GP again for, like, my breasts were becoming very tender, and I felt
Common. Yeah.
uncomfortable. So she took me off the progesterone because she said it was probably too much with the Mirena. Um, and then I just started off on a very small dose anyway,
Mm.
and then adjusted my HRT along the way.
Mm.
Uh, Started off maybe with one pump, and I'm now at two pumps, and yeah. So that was my journey. and it's helped. But it's just one part of, I believe it's just one part
Yeah,
of
100%, 100%. I mean, you haven't always you talk about wellness, you're very passionate about wellness, and we'll talk a little bit further about that. But I'm interested in you haven't always been in wellness. What were you doing before, and how did you cope whilst you were, in that particular field?
Okay, so my sort of career trajectory has been very varied. I started off in finance for like 12 years,
Mhm.
um, banking, very stressful job. And then I set up a floristry business for 10 years,
Oh,
which
wow. What made you decide to
to step.
I'm all, sorry. I want you to talk, but also I'm fascinated by how people change their careers and what influences them to do so, especially in women. Because let's face it, the links between finance and floristry are slightly tenuous. So what led you there? Why did you turn your back on finance, so to speak?
Well, I took a break. I had twins. They were
Ooh,
about
congratulations. How old are they now?
18.
Okay.
They're 18. So I took a break too, because I had then three children under three, and it was quite
Mm,
hectic. Of
goodness.
course, you don't have the flexibility you have today. So, I was working in Nigeria then, and I only had a 3 months maternity break.
Mhm.
Uh, Basically, before my kids, I was going back to work my kids would have been 6 weeks or something, which
Oh,
is twins. And I just felt my kids, I couldn't do both well. I
yeah.
know lots can have it all, but I'm not one of those people that believe in that. And my own personal choice was actually to invest in my family at that time.
Mm.
Um, that there are pros and cons. But it was just something I decided to do, and that was what led me. So my plan was just to take a break, get them sort of maybe into primary school before going back. But one thing led to another, and I just decided I started off my business then from home.
Mhm.
I opened a beautiful floristry shop in Lagos where I was living then. And yeah, and I ran that business for just under 10 years.
Beautiful. And that links to your love of flowers and your love of botanics. So it makes total sense that, from the child who loved to be in the garden and loved to look at flowers, and obviously your parents, their love and is it in a sense, yes, there might not be a link between finance and floristry, apart from the F, but you were able to move closer to your passion, which I think that's a wonderful story, but it hasn't got us to wellness. So how have you got to here?
After that, I think I started really for the first time thinking about, because I had moved country and I was still running that business.
Right.
Um, just before the lockdown, I closed the business down. I didn't even know the lockdown was going to happen. So I was then thinking, then I was working for myself, I was consulting, and
Mhm.
then I just I was like, what can I do next?
Yeah.
And so I said, why not merge my love for botanicals
Mm.
with finding solutions to women at this stage in their lives, which
Mm.
is what I've gone through,
Mm.
um, especially for darker skinned women. And I found that there were lots of similarities between sort of melanin skin and mature skin. Uh,
Okay.
yeah. And so I decided to focus on that segment in the market and look for just things that were very nourishing,
Mm.
things very caring, different from what was available,
Yeah.
and met my African and my British heritage. So
Yeah.
all the ends, the rituals are from both cultures.
Yeah. So you said there's a links between the similarities between melanin skin
Yeah.
and also maturing skin. Can you speak a little more on that? What are the similarities?
I think some of the symptoms that you find with older skin, like
Mm.
transdermal water loss, which is
Mm.
like more dehydrated skin,
Mhm.
melanin, people with melanin, high melanin in their skin suffer from that anyway.
Mm.
Um, Once you're in sort of menopausal, perimenopause, you find that you start having more hyperpigmentation. And there are also similarities as well because, melanin, as beautiful as it has both positives and negatives, because whilst it protects our skin,
Mm.
for dark skin people, it
Mm.
protects from UV rays. It's like a policeman, basically.
Mm.
It stops UV rays and the, UVAs from penetrating into our skin, but it also can cause, when it's excessive, it also
Mm.
can cause irritation, and it also can lead to, when you have acne, you find that black skin scars as well,
Mm. That's right. Yeah.
symptoms as well. I found that mature skin is prone to, and I just found that, a lot of what was available, in the market, um, wasn't very nourishing,
Mm.
wasn't specifically targeted at these issues. So
Yeah.
they're more broad, skincare ranges. And it's not really, the brand is not really like an anti-aging brand or anything like that, because
There's no such thing, is there? Aging is going to happen. How can it be anti?
exactly. So it's more about, it's more about enjoying the process and learn
Yes.
to care for yourself,
Yeah.
how to feed your skin,
Yeah.
because more like just the way we feed our bodies, we need to feed our skin with the best.
Yeah.
Uh,
And,
that's what
and, and
testers
for
did.
And for anybody listening to Apinke talk particularly about the sun's rays, she's not saying don't wear your SPF. We
Oh,
still need, as melanin rich humans, we still need to wear SPF. That's important. But we do have some layer protection, but these days, definitely not enough. So please, 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 this is a plea to wear your sun protection on a daily basis, not just when it's sunny. When the sun is up, full stop, Um, I wanted to make that clear. I just want to go back a little bit.
mm.
How is menopause perceived in your family? You have kids. I don't know whether you talk to your twins about what's been going on with you, or with your partner, or your parents.
I
What's
think
the
the
conversations been like?
interesting thing is it's not something that anybody had ever spoken about, which I find weird.
Mm.
I had some older friends, maybe 10 years, 20 years ago. I
Mm.
remember complaining about hot flashes, and an aunt actually. I remember her complaining a lot about hot flashes, but and just always saying, "Oh, I need a fan," or But apart from that, nothing, no information. I
Mm.
think my kids probably know a lot about menopause now, because I talk about it all the time, and I
Yeah.
share, about it all the time. And that was another disappointment for me, because I was like, how can women, go through this, and it's still a taboo in this day and age? I
Yeah.
really couldn't understand it, and the way it's just shoved, by the NHS, as it's almost like, when we're teenagers, because I had terrible periods,
Yeah.
and I was just told to cope with them.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had such bad pain that I would sometimes faint,
Oh
you know
wow.
and I was just told to cope with it. I remember sometimes at work, just going into the toilet and just like having to sit down there,
Yeah.
pain. And painkillers were not working, So there was no, it wasn't, there was no, it's part of life, just get on with it. And
Yeah.
that is very sad as well, because it is something that happens to every woman, as
Mm.
you've said, affects families.
Mm.
It's your mental health, is your physical health, it's your emotional health and well-being. And I just could not understand why. And I still can't, because a lot of my friends, I still find, don't want to talk about it. A lot of people, I feel it's the end of the road, you are no longer fertile. There's something wrong with, you're past your due date or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, as we know, it's to me, it's also about rediscovering yourself. But I really believe, and I'm so thankful for things like what you're doing, and all the platforms that we're beginning to have the conversations, because it's all about education
Yeah.
and awareness, preparedness.
Yeah.
Because how can you one day find that you're losing your memory? Is scary enough, apart from the fact that you're physically going through that with no idea, for professionals that should know better.
And this is why I'm so proud to to be at the vanguard of having these conversations. This is why I'm so pleased to hear you saying, this is all you talk about. You talk about menopause, you talk about it in relation to your skin, in relation to your brand, but also, these are important conversations. And we totally understand that feeling that we're coming to the end of the road, because menopause is linked with aging, and aging is supposed to be a bad thing. But we're both testament, and lots of people we know are testament to the fact that actually menopause is a chance to almost rebrand yourself, or to look at the things in your life that aren't working for you and move towards the ones that will bring you much more joy. So I'm really glad to hear you say that. Thank you for that, I think.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. It's there's I mean, I can understand why the media especially has just branded women, because you see the adverts. Okay, there's more diversity, there's more representation today, but still, there's society is forcing you to look at a woman as you know a certain stereotype, which is
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, yeah, it
We're
is.
we're all changing, and it's part of the cycle of life. We
Yeah,
cannot at 20, at our peak, at
yeah.
27, it is, it's just wrong.
Yeah, and more people need to be talking about that, and I'm glad to see more representation, as slow as it is, still happening.
Then facts that I realized in terms of the science behind it is
Yeah.
estrogen that does everything in our bodies, and
Mm,
that is the cognitive decline, the bloating, because that's to do with our gut and our digestion,
yeah,
our the receptors, every single thing, our brains,
yeah,
and what is happening in midlife. But there's also what happens after midlife,
yeah, yeah,
our health, our brain health,
yeah.
our mental health, and our ability to live not just a long life, but a healthy life,
I think
a
that's
life.
the important thing. I think
Yeah,
it's the
yeah,
healthy. You can live a long life and not be having a great time. You might be
exactly.
bedridden. You might not be able to do the things that you could do in the past. And
Yeah.
I think the message here is also around ensuring that we are chucking as much wellness at ourselves, pleasure, the way that we eat, the way that we exercise, and that kind of thing. Talking of exercise, have you been able to go back to running, or have you changed the way in which you move your body now?
I do more walking, so I do jogging as well.
Hmm.
I do couch to 5Ks and the 5K races.
Hmm.
Uh, but I do lots of walking. I live in the countryside, so I can walk. I love the countryside. I'm always out there just appreciating nature. And then yoga I think is really, really good. It's very, the breath work, the stretching. It's
Mm.
really good. It's really good for your mental health, as well.
Yeah.
Pilates, so that's how I exercise. Then weight training. I want to get in more into weight training, because I know that you need to develop muscle mass as you age, because that's so important now, and
Mm.
that's actually important than running, aerobics, or any of all those high impact intensity. But yeah, there's so many things you could do, but it's all
Yeah.
about consistency. One or two, times. I used to swim a lot,
Okay.
uh, all through childhood, so I still love swimming. It's not so convenient because you have to go all the way to the gym and blah blah blah. And in the winter, you're not really encouraged getting wet and cold. But yeah, but I love swimming as well, and I think swimming is great. It's it exercises all parts of your body.
That's great. You do. You sound like you do a lot, and what's I suppose what's important about
Also,
that to
every
anybody
fun.
listening is that it's important that you choose what works for you. The weight training is important. The resistant training is important. But some people don't like swimming. Some people love it. I love swimming as well. I tried to go swimming today, and I got all the way. It's a half an hour walk, and I got there, and it was closed, and I was kind of annoyed. But I will go. I will try again tomorrow. So, what were your most? You've mentioned a lot of symptoms.
Mm.
For you, what were the most worrying ones?
The most worrying ones was the tiredness, exhaustion. I would call it exhaustion. I
Yeah.
was exhausted. And then the brain fog for me, and then bloating, really bad bloating,
Mm,
uh,
mm,
bloating that I thought, oh, couldn't fit into my jeans. I actually started thinking maybe I said it.
yeah.
That tummy was getting so big. My GP was one of the first things she said was, let's just do a pregnancy test anyway. You know,
Rule that out.
Well, tummy so big. It's strange. I mean, I even did scans
Yeah.
because my worried. That let's find out what's going on in there.
Yeah.
Um, so those were some of the symptoms for me.
Yeah. And you said that we know that you take hormone therapy now. You said that before you started hormone therapy, you were taking lots of supplements. Do you still take supplements, and do they work? Are there ones that you particularly recommend?
I do take a lot of adaptogenic sort of herbal supplements,
Okay.
and are really, really good. So for sleep, I take things like magnesium, ashwagandha,
Mm.
actually a lot of sort of like palpitations as well,
Oh
and
wow.
really helped with that. So
Mm.
I go like the more botanical,
Mhm.
and I know there's so many,
Yeah.
supplements. Just like to buy something that has everything. So again, I'll take like a herbal supplement that
Mm.
has a combination of herbs to help women to balance their hormones at this time. So
Yeah.
things like sage, milk thistle, all sorts of things. I also take omegas, fatty acids. So yeah, and vitamin D as well.
And did you change anything about your diet at all, or did you? Because you've talked about your exercise, you got that nailed. Did you do
Yeah.
anything that
For my
changed?
unfortunately, we grew up eating a lot of rice, and I still tend to want to eat that.
Nothing
Uh,
wrong with rice. Add some
Wrong with
beans to it.
you just have to, either whole grain, brown
Yeah.
rice, cook it properly. But the way we cook it in Nigeria, there's lots of oil, there's lots of other things, and it's
Mm,
usually the refined rice. So just reducing my carbs. For some reason, I think it's all about listening to your body
yeah,
with diet, because what works for me might not work for you.
that's
I
right.
when I eat wheat, I think I don't know if I'm intolerant to bread,
Mm,
even some bread. I still get bad bloating.
okay.
I just not eat those things, right? So I
Mm,
might do that occasionally. Before I came into this stage, I already realized I was lactose intolerant.
okay.
So cut out dairy from my diet. And I also find when I eat a more vegan diet, um, fish, white meat, vegetables,
So pescatarian diet, yeah.
yeah, pescatarian diet, sorry,
Mm,
I tend to do better,
yeah. The
you know.
vegans would be going berserk when you said that. But yeah, yeah. And at the end of the day, a more varied diet, more leafy vegetables,
Lots
etc.
of lots of, white meat. I still eat red meat, but once in a while.
Right,
Once,
okay.
yeah.
So do you have a routine? And if so, would you
Then I
care
know
to share?
are into fasting and things like that, but I think do what works for you.
Yeah.
I eat sort of later in the day, like I have in the mornings I have water when
Mm,
I wake up. I might put some salts in it or some hydration tablets if I want to, some lemon. I try to hydrate because I know I've fasted
yeah.
at night,
Yeah.
to start hydrated. Coffee, I don't do very well with coffee. I think it irritates me. Oh my God. So I tend to go for matcha instead.
Okay.
So I have matcha. That would be my next sort of drink. And then I would have sort of like a brunch. So at about 10:30, 11, I'll have my meal.
Yeah.
Usually more protein based, yeah, and then I eat probably once or twice again during the daytime.
And again, some people listen to this, that's the worst thing they could do, you know. And what's really important about asking people this question is because sometimes you're listening, you're like, oh, I do that too, and that works for me. Um, but yeah, you clearly know what works for you, and whether it's exercise, whether it's diet, what you know, and therefore it's important
And
for you to share as
I
well.
like exercise in the mornings, so I try and go for my walk
Yeah.
in the. I'm not an evening. I'm a morning person, so I wake up really early. I like to get my exercise done, my meditation, whatever I'm doing.
Mm.
It's in the morning, probably before the house even gets up.
Yeah.
I that time with myself, my journaling,
Mm.
my quiet time, as I call it, before the noise and the chatter
Yeah.
begins.
Before the busyness sets in.
Exactly.
You talked earlier about skincare. You're talking about how your skin had changed and that you wanted to, create something for melanated skin and maturing skin, let's just say. But what struck me was that you talked about it being pleasurable. And
Mm.
I'm interested in that side of it because, full disclosure, Apinke very kindly sent me as like a cleansing set of
Oh,
oil, cleansing oil, a serum, and facial oil. And full disclosure, 10 years ago, I didn't take any notice of my face. If I'm honest, it was not even 10 years. I would say lockdown, sharing space with my youngest daughter, and watching the care she takes over her skincare and removing her makeup and removing, the grime from her face and the day from her face. And I remember asking her, like, why? Because that's long, you know. And she said, this for me is time for me. It's a form of self care, just as for her, putting on makeup and getting creative on her face is part of her self care. Then also, this array of different, I called them lotions and potions at the time. And in the end, I started to do the same thing, but intermittent. Well, I have to say, I've been using Echo skincare and I love the time I am taking to look after my skin, not least also loving the results because I'm loving my hydration. So you did good there, but talk a little bit more
mm.
about that. I think,
So I think one of the things that I got tired of, or maybe I became, as you said, more awakened to during lockdown, was the freedom not to use foundation or powder or makeup to
yeah,
cover up,
yeah,
and just seeing your skin, becoming more conscious of your own skin. It's like your skin, it's like your skin, my skin was a stranger or something, It's
mm,
just something you don't even recognize,
mm,
you know. Sort of relationship you have with it is to quickly wash it, then cover it all up with, makeup and all that. So I wanted to create something that would bring you back to, yourself
mm,
and train yourself and, your skin, being more conscious. as you've lovely and beautifully described, the process and the journey your daughter goes through.
Mm.
Uh, my daughter is 18, and she uses Ekó Botanicals. So it's not just for mature skin, and all her, because it's the same similar symptoms,
Yeah.
all her, everything's gone. Her skin is lovely. And I tell her that, well, she's going to have to start paying very soon
I was
because
going to say, because, it's an
she
investment. I
can't.
will say that.
Exactly. But so that was part of the, so when you look at the sense, the sensorial side of the products are very botanically dense.
Mm,
Um, got all this wonderful fragrance, which I think is so important
mm,
as well in that process of getting back in touch, slowing down,
mm,
breathing, looking at yourself. And whilst a lot of the beauty and the skincare industry is about covering up,
mm,
we're actually about, leaving our skin bare, because
mm,
I believe if you have beautiful skin, then you'll be happy to show it off.
mm,
You won't need to cover it up. And all the money I was spending on foundation, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with, using foundation occasionally, but I don't think, we should be obsessed with covering our skin. I'm not sure that's how God intended it to be. Our skin should be in, a condition that is clear, nourished, glowing. And if
mm.
it is that condition, then you don't need to cover it up.
I think some people would also argue that it's not necessarily about covering it up, it's about enhancing. I certainly I wouldn't I'm not an everyday foundation girl by any stretch of the imagination, but I do have some beautiful products that when I want to, put all of the things on, I actually love that process as well. I think everybody takes what they want from makeup or not wearing makeup, but also that idea that you can spend the evening winding down through using cleansing and going through these steps. I've certainly appreciated, it's almost like I take a deep exhale,
Mm,
which is something I'm quite surprised about, because I just looked at the three products and thought I'm never going to do that, and here we are. So the fact that they work is a bonus as far as I'm concerned. Your skin show for me. Let me talk about me. My
mm,
skin shows stress. So if I'm stressed, if I'm worried,
mm.
even if I think nothing's going on and intellectually I can't work out that something's wrong, my skin will show me. And
Yeah.
so it's been really lovely, because if you've got the opportunity to inhale and exhale, that is a form of meditation. I mean, I'm bigging you up. You know what? I don't need to do that, but certainly, yeah, I found the process interesting, and I want to thank you for that. How do you? Oh, you look like you want to say something. Go for it.
No, not really. I just said you're welcome, and it's not that I'm saying that makeup is, there's no place for makeup. Of course there is. I mean, I'm wearing makeup, I'm wearing foundation, I'm wearing but it shouldn't be the norm, right?
Yeah,
I grew up wanting to, not knowing how to take care of my skin
yeah,
or the right sort of products. And
yeah,
there are many products out there, that are good, that are clean, that are sustainable and all that. And it's more about a mind shift,
yeah,
place for, you know, makeup, and there's that look that you want, but there's also a place for taking care of your skin, touching your skin, feeling your skin, and all those other things, and
yeah.
taking yourself through that, self care.
Yeah. And leaning into slowness and
Mm,
really giving yourself time to be silent and just appreciate what the process that you're adding, and the routine, I suppose, that you're adding to your life. So yeah, I appreciate that. How do you, Apinke,
mm,
celebrate yourself?
mm. That's how do I celebrate myself?
Yes.
So many ways. Making time for myself.
Mhm.
Uh, I buy myself flowers because I love flowers. So I don't really wait for anyone to buy me flowers. So if I had like maybe a deal or a transaction or something,
Hmm.
I would buy myself flowers, take myself to the spa, book a break. I've gone on holiday by myself. I go on holiday with my husband. I go on holiday with my children. You
Mm.
know, I do those sort of things. Go for meals with my friends.
Mm. Sounds like
I
you've
love
got it covered. That's good.
Yeah, I love doing things that are also like wellness things. Like a friend of mine took me for an art painting class the other day.
Yeah,
For the Really had a lovely time. So we had painting, we had lunch.
mm,
So meeting people. I love doing those sort of things.
that
Anyway,
sounds great. That sounds great. I want to go now. Which tune instantly makes you want to dance?
which tune makes me instantly want to dance? Must be Michael Jackson. Anything Michael Jackson.
Really? Okay. No one particular track by Michael Jackson?
Anyone, anyone. I just watched the West End show the other day, and it was
Okay,
just yeah, my kids. I watched it with my kids and my husband, and they don't really know. Of course, it's after their time, but
of course, yes. Yeah.
yeah, but they enjoyed it as well.
Well,
Yeah.
you would get on very well with my good friend Natalie Simone,
Okay.
who any Michael Jackson and she's up and dancing. So maybe we need to get you two together. What's the one piece of advice you would give to any black woman listening to us right now?
Hmm. One piece of advice to any black woman: love yourself, nurture yourself. You're beautiful the way you are. You don't have to conform to anyone's standards. Um, I have like an afro usually. And I transitioned about 10 years ago. And I
Okay,
remember asking me then why I was doing it. And I just said, again, because I was just tired of not being, myself. I just wanted to be, who I am. I don't want to be anybody else. So I think that, it's a mind shift. And yeah, so, celebrate yourself. Don't wait for anyone to celebrate you.
I love that. I
You are
love.
your best advocate. You are your greatest advocate. Invest in yourself, celebrate yourself, love yourself.
Thank you, Apinke. Where can people find you if they want to reach out to you, if they want to email you or tell us your website? Say the
Okay, well,
things.
Eko skincare.co.uk.
Hmm.
That's the website, and all the email address and everything is on the
Hmm.
website.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Apinke. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Hello, I am back. I am fascinated by women in particular, who change direction. And Apinke's story really fascinated me, which is why I suppose I pressed her a little bit more on moving from, finance to floristry to founding and owning Ekó Botanicals, a skincare range. Um, yeah. And I feel like, our journeys, we're socialized, we're taught. Certainly I was. I'm 62. And when I was at school, you did your O levels in the UK, you did your A levels, you went to university, or you left and went and got a job. And you stayed in that job, or you got your degree and then you got a job and you stayed in that job until you retired. And then you sat in the corner and waited for your grandkids. That was the expectation. And there was no one telling us that we could do anything different. And also, um, there were no role models. Like, there was no blueprint certainly no blueprint for the life I'm living. And it takes a lot of courage to change things up. But I am learning of more and more women who are getting to a certain stage of going, you know what? Yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. I did it with teaching. Um, I mean, you could say that I didn't have a choice, really. I was very ill. I was suffering from anxiety and depression. And I wrongly assumed that leaving teaching would solve all my problems. It did not. but it gave me the space to get silent and decide what I wanted for the rest of my life. So I am thrilled that Apinke was able to tell us about, moving into starting her floristry business and then moving to the UK from Nigeria to eventually start her skincare business based on what was going on with her skin. And I learned a lot of stuff that I didn't know about skin care. I wonder, has your skin changed as you move into perimenopause or postmenopause? I know mine has become a lot more sensitive. It was fairly sensitive before, but now it's gone a bit berserk. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I did. If you did, please share it amongst your networks. Share it in your WhatsApp groups or on your platforms. Make sure they know about menopause whilst black in your work area if you go to work or if you belong to a big company or a small one, and have a chat. Talk about it. Talk about menopause whilst black, because we need to get to the ears that really need to hear this. And as you know, menopause is not just having a moment, it's coming to the fore. And so more and more people, particularly people of colour, particularly people of marginalised communities, need to know that they are not alone. Black women go through menopause. Black and Asian women go through menopause 2 to 5 years earlier than our white counterparts. Black women particularly 8.5 months to 2 years earlier than our white counterparts. And that is not common knowledge. And I forget that it's not common knowledge. So please ensure that our podcast is shared far and wide. As I said before in the intro, I live in East Sussex, and I went to a local flotation spa. It looks like this it's basically a big bath with lots of salt in it, lots of Epsom salts in it, and you float there for an hour, and it's a sensory experience, and it's quiet, and everything just relaxes. You're taking, what's the phrase? You're not near your phone. There's no sensory overload. I feel so chill, man. I feel really chill. And so I've already been looking up where there is one in London. There's one in Vauxhall, I think, and one in North London. I've forgotten all the names of these people now. I'll try and put them in the show notes. The one in Bexhill, which is near where I am, is called Soul Spa. And the one in London is called, I want to say Floatworks, but I might be making that up. Anyway, what's my point? My point is I'm feeling good. Yeah. So what else do I need to say to you? Oh, we have one more person who is joining us on the Joy Retreat Barbados next year. So there are 7 spaces left of 10. So the Joy Retreat Barbados is my offering to any Black woman in any stage of menopause around the world. We first went in 2023. We had a break this year, and I'm really excited to be able to share this offering to you again. So we spend a week on the east coast of Barbados, eating beautiful food, creating safe spaces for us to talk, to share. We go on walks, we do yoga, massage, and in a sense, I take you through what helped me when I first entered menopause and how I was able to move through it and create a care plan that worked for me, but also what helped me through anxiety and depression, as I mentioned before, which was often about resting, about becoming silent, about setting boundaries, about deepening my stretch practice, about learning to journal, affirmations, and so much more. But mostly it's a chance for us, for Black women, to hold space for one another. If you'd love to join us on the Joy Retreat Barbados 2025, we leave on the 28th of April until the 5th of May. I am happy to announce that we are extending the 3-month payment plan at no extra cost. So it ends on the 15th of November. So if you want to spread your payments out, now is a good time to get in touch. Visit my website, menopausewhilstblack.com, or you can email me, hello@menopausewhilstblack.com, or hit me up on Instagram @menopausewhilstblack. That's me. November. I was talking to my friend Dorcas today, and we were trying to work out what we consume that embeds the fact that Christmas is here. So I'm a mince pie and Bailey's girl, and I will not have a mince pie or a sip of Bailey's will not pass my lips until the 1st of December. Are you someone who gets excited about Christmas? Do you celebrate Christmas? Yeah. I don't know why I'm in a Christmassy mood. Maybe because I'm feeling relaxed, and maybe because Halloween's over. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. Anyway, let me be quiet. I hope you enjoyed. Do write us a review on the platform that you listen on, or go across to YouTube, watch us again, and put a comment up there. That would be cute. Oh yeah, and for those of you who have been receiving my debut children's book, Grandma's Locks, with illustrations by the lovely Camilla Rue, published with Tate Publishing last week. Thank you for all your messages and your encouragement. The book is beautiful. I done told you. It feels good to be entering my author era. I'm not leaving my broadcast era either. I'm just adding another string to my bow. And that is the beauty of menopause. And that is the beauty of appreciating getting older and getting a handle on your menopause care. Because honestly, I'm having the best time. And I wish this for you too. That's me. Wear your SPF. I'm just remembering what Apinke said. Yeah, wear your SPF, put it on, look after your skin, drink your water. That is the best gift you can give to your skin. That and getting enough rest, sleep. That's me. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful evening, day, weekend, week, month, and I'll see you next week. Okay, bye. A reminder that all of these episodes, all the beauty of Menopause Whilst Black is that these are conversations. These are conversations with real life people that primarily have an experience of perimenopause and menopause. And as you know, menopause is different for everyone. One size does not fit all. So these are opinions. It's really important for you to do your own research, because what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for the other. So get a health professional opinion, speak to your doctor, do your own research, do some reading, follow different people on different platforms, but ultimately try things out and have patience. Have patience, because honestly, once you get a handle on it, it's absolutely worth it.